So often getting support from the local authority feels like an abusive relationship you just can't escape from. I've been dealing with the local authority for years now, trying to get my son support, trying to, give him the education, a basic access to education that other children who don't have needs like we do, just get as rite of passage. But so often the response you get is them putting their guard up, them fighting you on everything, them pushing back and saying why it's your responsibility or why their local policies trump the law, and how you're wrong and how you just need to be a better parent, or you just need to, have stronger boundaries, or anything that they can do to backpedal or to push things to somebody else's responsibility. And, when push comes to shove, they're like, well, just appeal. And you appeal and you spend several months fighting the system, going to tribunal, getting everything written from a tribunal judge because they actually follow the law for the most part. And then you get it all written in the plan, and then the local authority don't do it anyway. And then you have to prove that they don't do it. Not just we know that you're not doing it, but you have to then prove that they're not doing it. And even when you prove that they're not doing it, they still say, well, you need to go through this process, or you need to go through that process, or this is why it's not our fault, or this is why it's somebody else's responsibility, or any other way that they could possibly think to squirm out of their responsibilities. And then you end up with a child at breaking point who can't attend school, who can't access any education. And you go, okay, so now the mainstream schools can't meet need. Now the specialist school can't meet need. And they're all admitting that they can't meet need, that his needs have become so much now that even the specialist provisions are saying we can't support this child. You'd have to physically assault them just to get them into school, because the level of trauma that the school environment has now caused them because their needs weren't being met, they actually can't access any provision that's in anything that remotely looks like a school. It doesn't even have to be a school. If it looks like a school, it's scary enough, because that's the trauma that has been caused by the education system. Then you say, okay, so we need a package of education that isn't in a school, because he can't cope with that and it's too much. So then you fight for that. And then they push back on that, but they don't do it in a legal way. They put you in a position where you're in stalemate. So you go, do you know what? I can provide a better education than any of you can. I know my son. I know how to support his needs. I know what he needs and how to provide it. Let's face it, I've been doing it myself for the best part of 4 years. Obviously been caring for him for a lot longer, but actually more of his education has been done at home than it has been done anywhere else for the past 4 years. So I'm just going to electively home educate. Well, elective, not really sure it's elective really, because what other choice is there? And then they say, okay, that's fine, but you need to prove to us how you're going to provide all of the provision that we should be providing that we're not providing. So now that I have been fighting them for 4 years to get them to put in place what they legally had to put in place, and they have continued not to do that. Now that I'm saying that I'm going to provide his education, now they want me to prove how I'm going to do that, even though they haven't been doing it for the past 4 years. So now instead of providing the education my son needs, I'm stuck in bureaucratic nonsense, because I have to sit there for hours and hours on end, trawling through his EHCP and proving how I'm going to provide what I'm already providing anyway, because nobody else has done it, even though their legal right is to do it. And I will do that, and I will prove my worth, because, that's what we have to do. But constantly being questioned, constantly all of this pushback all of the time, being told that I need to prove this, or I need to prove that, or I need to prove that, having to do all of these forms and all of this admin, when in reality, the legal stance is that it's on them to provide the education. I'm just doing their job for them because they're not capable of it. And then for them to tell me that now is the time that they want to know exactly what he's having. It didn't bother them the rest of the time. But now that it's my responsibility, now they need to know exactly what he's having, when he's having it, and how he's having it. When actually he's medically unfit to attend a school setting, and they have mental health assessment reports to prove that. And the reason why he's medically unfit to attend a session or to do any form of education is on them, because they failed him time and time again.